Okay, so last week and actually the week before as well, I have been talking about the yamas and niyamas of yoga that originates from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is kind of largely regarded as one of the primary texts of yoga philosophy. And so as I go through each one, there will be things that tie into one another, and some of it will seem a little repetitive. But to me, that's actually, that speaks to just how these things interweave and can add this layer to our practice that goes beyond the poses. So I was talking last week about the 8-limbed path of yoga, which you may or may not have heard that spoken. This again from the sutras. And the yamas and niyamas are limbs 1 and 2, and then the third is our asana, our physical practice. So here in the Western world, we pay a lot of attention to the physical part of it without really delving into the philosophy. And I say we, but that's sort of the general population. So taking these teachings and just like the asana, the postures, taking from it what you need from it, what resonates with you, it's just as applicable with the teachings, the philosophies, the yamas and the niyamas. So that's just a real like nutshell background to it all. And so last week we talked about ahimsa, which is nonviolence and non-harming, and that's sort of the basis. And every other yama and niyama kind of reflects back to that. So that radical love for other beings and radical self-love for ourselves, and that kindness that we want to practice toward others and toward ourselves. So the second of the yamas is Satya, which is truth or truthfulness. And like all of these yamas and niyamas, there's the kind of literal level, and then there's a more subtle level when we really get into it. So being truthful, honoring your word, speaking your truth, being committed, being accountable, and from that place, living in this place of light. Because we've all been there where we tell an untruth, whether it's a big one or a little one, and there's this feeling of heaviness, of darkness that can come over us when we go to that place where we know we're not really being honest. So that's a pretty high level, kind of straightforward. But then there's some nuancy things in there too, where if we have a tendency to exaggerate or maybe minimize something, these can also be untruths, or these actually are untruths. So taking into our practice, both on the mat and off the mat, coming from this place of truth. So I know I'm doing a lot of talking here at the beginning, but what I wanted to suggest for tonight's practice as a mantra or an intention is with this idea of coming from a place of truth, is looking within, because the truth is always within us. It's always there. It's just up to us to find it. And what that involves, usually, whether we're on a yoga mat or off, is listening. So the mantra, going back to the mantra, the intention, what I want to offer is to listen intently. Listen intently. So if that resonates with you, however that resonates with you, if you want to take that with you onto the mat, that is the intention that I'm offering. And of course, you can incorporate it or incorporate your own or a combination. So with that, we will get started. And let us get started from a seated posture. Thank you for listening intently to me. I just wanted to give a little more background to, since I'm going to be week by week tackling one of the Yamas and Niyamas, and there's 10 in total. So it's going to stretch over several classes, and I just wanted to give a little more meaning to it. And of course, it's still very condensed, but okay. So if you are utilizing the music tonight, you can add that in as you're ready. And just go ahead and come to a seat. Let yourself get comfortable. Let your eyes close down if that is comfy. And just take a few breaths as you land here in this place. And as you continue to breathe here in this first space, and start to listen to yourself, listening to your breath, hearing what your body, your mind, your energy, what they all have to say, how you're showing up tonight. And as we take in the truth of this moment, what is true in your body and your heart and your mind right now, as we prepare to practice, just taking that reminder that we want to move through the practice from that place of compassion, ahimsa, moving from a place of gentleness and ease versus forcefulness. Take another couple deep rounds of breath. And maybe this next round, if it serves you, draw the air in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. And then either with your eyes closed or if it feels better to open them, just start to slowly give your head a little movement here. You might also move your hands, switch the crossing of your legs if it would feel good to do that. Just taking some little neck circles here, Moving nice and slowly and easily into it. If you're ready, you can add the shoulders, drawing them up toward your ears, rolling them back, opening up. And then with the breath in, again, when you're ready, just easing in here and lifting the arms up, filling up with air. And on our exhale, we'll find a seated twist to the right. Stay for a couple breaths here. And as you're ready to breathe in, come up through center, lifting the arms high, reaching up out of your waist, taking your gaze up, and exhale, take it over to the left, twist. Another breath here. Yeah, then release back through your center. Let's lift up high one more time. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Let's roll over those ankles and come to hands and knees. Take a little movement here for the next couple of breaths. Mobilizing the spine even further. And when you're ready, let those fingers spread wide, tuck your toes, and let your hips lift up and back for downward facing dog. Stretch the legs out. Pedal out here if it feels good. As you awaken these various parts of the body, really tuning in, really listening. Feeling what feels right, what you might need more of, what you might need less of. Take another breath here. And then let's slowly walk the hands back to the feet, coming into fold at the back of the mat. Dropping in, soften those knees. Keeping it nice and easy in the hamstrings, the low back. Let the crown of your head drop down toward the floor. Chin tucking in toward the chest. You might rock your weight forward and back a bit here. And then let the weight articulate forward, not to where your heels are lifted, but just tipping forward slightly, lifting the tailbone. Maybe those knees start to straighten slightly, still keeping a micro bend at least. And then on an inhale, let's rise up to stand. Sweep the arms up high. And pull the hands into your heart center. Let your eyes close down. Take another breath here. Listening intently. Maybe exhale out through the mouth. And allow your arms to lift back up as you open the eyes. And hands through heart center or swan dive forward. We'll lift up halfway, flattening the back. Feel those hamstrings opening, especially if they're a little tight. Let's do another one of those. Find big length through the crown of your head here. And coming back forward. Soften the knees and intently walk those hands forward to plank pose. Stacking the shoulders over elbows over wrists, pull the belly in. Notice if the hips are dropping down or piking up, you can always take those knees down. Take another breath here. And let's exhale the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Drop your head. Take a breath. Let it out. On the inhale, let's come back forward, hinging up and over, plank pose. Right away on the exhale, hips go back, downward dog. Another one of those, coming forward, inhale. And hips go back, exhale. This time on the inhale, lift those heels, let the knees bend. Let's come up to the top of the mat. Take your halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Root to rise up to stand. And bow forward on your exhale. Sun salutation A, let's inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hands plant, feet go back. You can hinge right back to your dog, or if you're ready for chaturanga, bending into the elbows, lifting the chest, taking a back bend on the inhale, cobra upward, exhale downward. Stay for 2 to 3 breaths here. And as you're ready, we'll come back to the top of the mat. We'll move through that Surya Namaskar A one more time with your breath. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale, fold. Filling up as we rise up. If there's anything you want to add in here, you can do that too. Or folding back down on your exhale. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, hands plant, feet travel back, making your way to your downward facing dog. Once you reach your dog, 3 options here. Or another option that I may not give you. You can drop your knees for child's pose. You can stay in your down dog for about the next 5 breaths. You can also take another sun salutation if you're feeling movement over stillness. Find what it is you need. Leave what it is that you don't. Few more breaths. Let's all find our way to downward facing dog from wherever you went. And bring the big toes a little closer together. Lift your right leg up to the sky, 3-legged dog. Bend that knee that's in the air, open your hip. On your next inhale, lengthen that right leg behind you. And exhale, step your foot through, coming into a low lunge. Let your left knee come down to the mat. Next inhale, rise up, supported crescent. Exhale, sink back in with the hips. Take another breath, grow long at your fingertips. And exhale, sweep the right arm down and back. Take an open arm twist here. Breathe. Bring that right hand to your low back. Sweep the left arm up and back. Reversing this. Feeling that stretch at the front of the left hip. Let this go. Let the left hand come down to the mat. Lift your right arm up high. A little different twist here. Take another breath here. Good, now let's lift back up through center, arms sweep high. And on your exhale, shift the hips back, straighten your front leg. Your hands can come down in this half split, or you can take airplane arms and work your balance here. Especially if you are taking this balance, there's a tendency to want to go over to that left side. So try to keep your right hip pulling back, left pulling forward, weight in the center line. And let's let this go, bend into the right knee, shine the heart forward, breath in, tuck your back toes, lift that back knee, step back to your plank, and make your way to your downward facing dog. Honoring whether or not you need that chaturanga every time. Taking your own way there. And then we'll lift the left leg up, knee bends, hip starts to open. Stay for a full round of breath. And then our next inhalation will lengthen the left leg behind. Exhale, step it through, coming into that low lunge. Right knee softens down. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, sink the hips a little lower. Let the shoulders also relax. Stability through both of your feet. Sole of the left foot, top of the right foot. Press them into the mat. Breathe in. On the exhale, we'll find that open arm twist. Left arm sweeps down and back. Bring the left hand to the low back. Lift the right arm up and back. Sweep it up. Good. And then bring that right hand to the inside of your left foot. Lift your left arm up high. Twist it open. Big breaths here. We'll come on up through supported crescent, breath in, and exhale, shifting the hips back, taking your version of your half splits here. You feel a little wobbly if you're taking this balanced version, it's okay. Even if you completely fall over, also okay. And then take it forward, walking it into that lunge, lifting the heart, breath in, and exhale as we step back, maybe lowering. Back bend on an inhale and down dog on your exhale. Take a breath in as you lift your heels, knees bend looking forward, and travel up to the top of the mat. Lift, half breath in. Fold as you breathe out. Root to rise up. Sweep the arms high. And let's take chair pose on your exhale. Let the hips go back. Breathe here. Listen to your thoughts. What thoughts pop up when you find yourself in what might be a challenging pose? Take a breath, go long through your arms. Exhale, cactus those arms open. Inhale, lift the arms, stand up, maybe take a little back bend here. And exhale, take it forward, bow. Lift halfway here. Exhale, fold. Step the feet back. Lower down if you're going there. We meet in downward facing dog. So let your right leg lift up high again. Bend the knee to open your hip. Option here if you like to flip your dog or come into wild thing, letting those right toes come all the way over, lifting the right arm high. Listening, moving in kindness. Whether that means you take that or leave it, come back through your three-legged and step the right foot through for low lunge. So you can drop your back knee again or keep it up this time. We're sweeping the arms high. Crescent lunge. Right away on the exhale, let's find this open arm twist. Right arm sweeps down and back. Inhale, take that reverse. Left arm lifts, right hand to your low back. Good. And then let's come back through center, high crescent. And on the exhale, shift the hips back, straighten into your right leg. Hover your chest for a wide pyramid pose. If your back knee is down, you're back into this half splits. You might even try kicking those toes up if you're in this wide pyramid, just for fun. And then let's come back through high crescent. Sweep the arms up high. We just bumped that same thing up, breath to movement, with a few little changes, additions. Now we're going to slow it back down, adding on. Take another breath here. And on your exhale, let's find a prayer twist to your right. So hands into heart and twist over to your right. Breathe here. Two more breaths. And then as you release, breathe in, open up to the left edge of your mat, sweep the right arm up high for reverse triangle. Breathe here. Lengthen out through that right side of your body. This left hand can move down your left leg. You can grab your top hand. You can also float that left arm out towards me. And let's let this go. Tee the arms out. Bend into your right knee slightly, sorry. And coming into half moon. Right hand might come to a block. Left leg lifts high. Open the chest. Stacking this left hip on top of the right. Big breaths. Take another breath where you're at. And on your exhale, left hand comes down, left foot comes down, forward fold. Widen the feet out, hip width distance. Either wrap your peace fingers around your big toes or slide the hands under the feet for Padahastasana, gorilla pose. Taking a little lift of the chest here, might not be quite halfway, and then pulling in, exhaling deeply into this fold. One more breath here. Good, now release your hastas, your hands, and bring your padas together. Rising up, big breath in here. And on your exhale, take your hips back and down, chair pose. Pull the belly in. Shift the weight through into the heels, let your shoulders soften. Take a breath. Exhale, cactus those arms out. Inhale, stand up tall, lean back. Exhale, bow forward. Halfway lift as you breathe in. Forward fold, hands plant, feet travel back, making your way to your dog. And if you're skipping that chaturanga, you always have the option to hold your plank for a few beats, just, for your core, for whatever you're feeling. And we'll lift the left leg high, breath in, knee bends, hip opens, staying right here, or flipping over. Wild thing, flip dog, if you want it. Taking it back, three-legged dog, big breath. Exhale, step the foot through. Inhale, rise up. Remember your back knee can be down. Exhale, take that open arm twist. Left arm sweeps down and back. Inhale, sweep the right arm high. Reverse this. Good. Now release it back. We're coming back through our high crescent. And then take the hands to heart center. Exhale, find your prayer twist left. And I just realized that I skipped a pose, but we'll go back for it. It's all good. Take another breath here in your twist. And then lift back up through your high crescent. And exhale, shift the hips back into this wide pyramid stance. Yeah, so the lengthening of this left leg should feel pretty good right now, if it weren't for this balance, right? So trying not to lock out this left knee, hovering the chest, kind of shooting forward like an arrow here through the crown of the head. Good, and then let's release this. Reach up high. And let's open this out to a T, straightening your legs. And then we'll come back for our reverse triangle. I threw myself off here, so I'm practicing some kindness with myself right now. Lengthening out through the left side, either hovering that right arm, grabbing the wrist. Another breath here. And releasing, coming back out to a T. Soften your left knee. Shift the gaze down to your left toes and lift up into your half moon when you're ready. Shoulders stacking one on top of the other, hips stacking. Nice and active through that right heel, flexing. Take another breath, open, and exhale, close. Left, right hand down, left, right foot down. And whatever you took last time, if you took gorilla, find a big toe bind and vice versa. Take a little half lift and fold in. Okay, now let's release your bind. Take a lift halfway. Fold on your exhale, widen your feet out, approximately width of the mat. Let your tailbone drop down. Malasana, deep yogi squat. Know that you can utilize a prop under your tailbone here. So a couple of ways we can come out of this as we prepare to move on here. You can drop your hands, lift your tail up into a forward fold, or press into your feet like the Dickens and rise up to stand. Let's all meet at standing here. I'm going to move my block out of the way, bringing the feet into the midline, tall mountain pose. So shift the weight over to your right foot, lift your left knee up, left thigh, height of the hip. Take another breath here. And exhale, send that left leg behind you, warrior three. This time our hip is closed on like our half moon. Your hands might draw into heart or they can keep reaching forward. Take another breath where you are. And then let's, with control, land your left foot toward the back of the mat. Tee your arms open, warrior two. Let your shoulders soften. Your blades are drawing slightly toward each other. Feet are nice and grounded. Right knee stacked over that right ankle. On your next inhale, straighten your right leg. Lift the arms up. Leave that right leg straight. Tee the arms back out. Maybe your left foot bumps in slightly. Exhale, find your triangle pose. Lengthen, extend. Maybe your block comes into play here, inside or outside of that right foot. Whether you're on a block or somewhere on your shin, your ankle, maybe the floor, just try to get a little lighter on that right hand. It could even float. Saying hello to that core. Good, now let's lift this up. Big breath in, reach up and back with the right arm, just one breath here. Exhale, release to a T. Turn your feet to face the long edge of your mat. Widen your feet out a little more if you wish, and bow forward on your exhale, soften. Let your head and neck loosen here. You might be grabbing the backs of your ankles. You might be twisting. You might be in a headstand. If you're having that kind of a practice today. Listening intently. Let's take another breath here. Halfway lift up as you inhale. Fold, exhale. Feet can come in if they widened a lot, and rise up. Arms sweep up high. Turn those left toes to the back of your mat. Right toes might need to angle in a little bit. And find your warrior two with the left foot forward. Nice and strong through your low belly. And all the other checks and balances are shoulders, nice super straight arms, stacked joints, knee over ankle. One more breath here. And as we inhale, straighten that left leg, lift the arms up. Arms tee out. Right foot may shorten in a bit, and exhale, finding your triangle pose to the left. I'm gonna grab my block here, setting it up mostly the same. You don't necessarily need to replicate side two to side one, but going for roughly a similar setup here. Lightness on those left fingers, maybe floating that hand. One side will be easier than the other. See what you can do with your breath. Good, and now let's release out, reach up and back, lengthen out. And release to the side of the mat. Find a nice big star pose here. Let your heels angle in this time, and drop your tailbone, hands to heart center, or you can take goddess arms. Just a few breaths here in this goddess squat, horse squat. Chest lifted, breath strong. Let's release this and reach high. And as you exhale, come back toward the front of the mat, hands to the inside of your right foot for lizard pose. So you can let your right foot walk over toward the right edge of your mat a bit. You can also let that left knee soften down if that helps you in this space. Finding a little softness here, but still strong in the breath. If your elbows are inclined to lower down, if that is what you need. And in these last handful of breaths here in our lizard, you can bend the left knee, reaching back with the right hand for crooked monkey. This is also a good place for a strap if the hand and foot aren't coming together. I know I didn't mention a strap at the beginning of class, but that's also an easy one if you don't have a yoga strap. The belt of a bathrobe, any belt really will do. We'll let go of the left foot if you had it and come back up to straight arms. And let that right foot travel across the mat, setting up for half pigeon here. Set the right shin down, left leg lengthening back. And of course, if this is not good for your knees, you can come onto your back in a figure four or a seated figure four even. And once you're ready, taking the elbows, taking the chest, the forehead down to the floor or maybe to a prop. Settling in here. Slowing your breath down. Tuning into sensation. Noticing where in your body, whether it's your hips or elsewhere, where you could use a little more space, if there's some tightness, and see if you can utilize your breath to create some more space. Opening up with the breath. Let's take another breath or two in this space. And then allow yourself to lift up through the torso. Ease yourself onto your right hip. And then let's slide this left leg in to a deer pose, a Z shape with our legs. And plant your right hand behind you. Press into that hand, press into both of your shins and lift your hips up here. Lift your left arm high. And then let your hips come down. Let's move on to hands and knees here and take any additional release you need in that right side, circling out, whether it's from your tabletop or your downward facing dog. And then likewise, as we move into the left side, you might want to move from downward dog, or you can move from table and step your left foot forward into lizard pose. Bonus that your back knee's already down then if you move from tabletop. Easing right in. So as I talked about in the beginning, when you start to think about some of these concepts like our Satya, our truth, our speaking of truth and being truthful, it's sometimes conceptually it's can seem hard to relate to asana, to the physical practice, until we start to unravel it a little bit, and then it really makes a lot of sense. And like I said, it just adds this layer of meaning to the shapes that we're making with our body, because at face value, yoga poses are just different shapes we make with our body. So coming out of your lizard, lifting up to straight arms if you came down. Toe healing that left foot across the mat, shin coming down, lengthening back with the right leg. And then coming forward into your half pigeon on the left when you're ready. What I love so much about the Yamas and the Niyamas is they are very straightforward, yet very complex at the same time. They're pretty digestible as far as philosophies go, but then putting them to practice and living that yoga, if you will. Not just doing yoga, but living your yoga. That can be the tough part, the challenging part. But it's a path, it's a practice, just like any of these physical shapes. Couple more breaths here. And we'll start to rise up through the torso, easing onto the left hip to release that hip, sliding the right leg in. And this time our left hand supports, planting it behind your left bun, more or less, and lifting up the hips, lifting the right arm up and back. Deep stretch. Right hip flexor. And coming down through your hips. And this is miss number 2 for me today. Maybe more than that if you're keeping better score. But I did not cue the opportunity to do our crooked monkey. So if you want to take that quad stretch here, right quad with your left leg lunged forward. If you're good, just come to your seat. Actually, don't come there yet. That was my 3rd strike. I'm out here. All right, and letting go of your crooked monkey if you're here with me, totally out of order. And then we can circle out that left hip, let it go. Letting go of perfection. That's a big challenge in my life. Always, always, always. And before we come down onto our backs, that's where we're going soon enough. Let's rise on up on the knees and the shins with knees hip-width distance apart. And take your hands to your low back. Press your hands into your low back, lift your heart, press your hips forward. Let your hips remain stacked over the knees. If your knees are bothering you, you can double your mat or take a prop here, a blanket, as I've done. If you want to walk your hands down your legs in this camel pose, coming in deeper, you can take it. Listening. And come on out of your back bend when you're ready. Let's sit back on the heels. You might just close your eyes down with your hands resting on your thighs, or you might drop into a child's pose. Just take a couple breaths in stillness wherever you choose. Beautiful. Let's come down to our backs as promised. Easing down, hugging the knees in, giving yourself a nice big hug here, rocking side to side. And in the spirit of listening intently, just take a couple moments here and seek what you really need at the end of your practice. Normally I give some suggestions. I'm going to refrain from even doing that. Just really letting you tune into your intuition here and what it is that you might need here. Once you give yourself the chance to take that thing or things or nothing at all, find your way toward your last posture, your final resting Shavasana.
letting that look like all of the other shapes, letting it look how you need it to look tonight. That might involve props. It might involve the wall. It could mean flipping over onto your belly. Let it be yours. Finding the truth in this moment and what would serve that truth. Letting go of the rest. I invite you and encourage you to stay just as you are, if you have the time, if you have the inclination. Just tuning out my voice and remaining in this space for as long as you need it. And when you are ready to come back into movement, just start slowly, moving gently with kindness back toward a seated position. Anything you need along the way, no rush. And we'll let the hands meet at heart center. Take a breath here. Exhaling it out. Lift the thumbs to the space between the brow. And lift your chin, lift your gaze. Take another breath. And exhale as you bring the hands back to heart center. Thank you for coming to your mat tonight, or joining me in this practice of Satya and finding your truth in some way on this mat through our practice, through our breath, and through our community with one another. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it and guide you. It is always an honor. Namaste.